Let me pick you a fruit from the poetry. Juices of lyrical wisdom, creativity. Let me pick you a fruit from the poetry. Seeds of change, roots, generations deep. Juices of just flesh of my ancestors' trust. Let me pick you a fruit from the poetry. Let you taste the bittersweetness of my history. Let me pick you a fruit from the poetry. This land's for wisdom, for freedom, and for you and me. So together we eat from the poetry. The poetry, hey, the poetry. I'm your worst nightmare and your greatest dream. I'm black like your coffee. Don't forget the cream. Revolutionary, compassionate civilian to hold us back. It would take millions, said stereotype breaker, addicted to beats and breaks, got more circulation than half of your mixtapes, yes? Bakes, I don't need them. Mistakes I made, so I learn with more freedom. So wrap this vinyl so we can follow along. With the rhythm on my heart, it goes bum, bum, bum. Bum, 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 hey. Bum, bum. Hip-hop is far from dead. It just immigrated. And in 2009, I started a global hip-hop project called Raptivism, looking at the intersections between rap music and social justice on an international scale. Too often, rap music gets boiled down to three stereotypes: booty, bling, and bullets. When in reality, hip-hop's history and its legacies of resistance and liberation span far beyond that into musical traditions ranging from funk to jazz to blues, and if we want to trace it back through the transatlantic slave trade to West African griot storytelling. The word hip in and of itself comes from the Wolof dialect, and it means to open one's eyes, to see. Hip is about questioning the status quo, questioning what we are told to believe, and thinking for ourselves. Hip has a critical edge. As Karis once says, hip and hop is intelligent movement, relevant movement. We sell in the music, right? Now I want to try something out. When I say hip, you say hop. Hip, hop. Hip, hop. When I say can't stop, y'all say won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Hip-hop is also about participation. Whether you are a performer or an audience member or anything in between, you're welcome to join the cipher, to participate. And today, in today's world, we are more connected than ever. I believe that hip-hop gives us a platform through which to participate in our global citizenship in a deep, engaging, and meaningful way. One of the first places that I started doing musical collaborations with different Raptivists around the world was Copenhagen, Denmark. And living in Copenhagen, I can remember meeting a rapper and a bunch of his friends, all of whom were very involved in their community. I landed in this neighborhood called Nørrebro, where I ended up living, and within that there's a small pocket called Blågårdsplads. Nørrebro and Blågårdspladsen are among some of the most beautiful parts of Copenhagen, rich in culture, and the people are amazing. But on top of that, there's a struggle with gang wars and a lot of violence. One of the rapper's friends started a program in the middle of Blågårdspladsen, the epicenter of a lot of violence in that community, and transformed it into a play place where young kids could come out, play chess, kick around soccer balls, do arts and crafts, all sorts of stuff. And the rapper invited me to join in on this, to come and volunteer for a day, to be part of it, where they were creating despite the fact that they are surrounded by destruction. In joining them, I remember walking up to a door, and we were all going into an activity room, and lo and behold, the coordinator forgot the key. So he said, "I'll be right back," ran off, and left me with a group of 30-some-odd kids staring at me, like, what are we going to do? So I was standing there, and neither of us shared enough of a common language. English, Danish, it wasn't quite working at that moment in time. So the first thing I could think to do was beatbox. I just started to beatbox, and that was the way that I could... That was the way I could jump in and just start the conversation somehow. Although we did not share the same language in words, we shared a language of rhythms. And then I was able to teach the kids some of my rhythms, and they created their own remixes, believe you me. So this became a platform for our common global citizenship and our communication, even though we did not share the same language in words. After moving away from Copenhagen for the time being, I went to Cape Town, South Africa. And I remember it being a very challenging place in many ways, because once I arrived and I was trying to tell people about my new project, they were sick and tired of new projects and people coming in, especially from Europe, the United States, North America, with dissertations and volunteer awareness projects, and they had heard it before. And a lot of college students coming in saying, "I'm going to save all the poor children in Africa. This is what I'm going to do." And this mentality, the savior mentality that was so problematic, reifying systems of power and oppression that preceded them by years, decades, even centuries. So when I first came and started talking about Raptivism, people were like, oh, they had a kind of a thick wall up. And I remember walking across the street one day and seeing a bench that said, "Tourist, terrorist." This resounded deeply with me. In many ways, I can even understand that as a woman of color, among a number of other aspects of my identity here in the United States, people visiting a one-way street, if you will. Hip-hop became our common basis for which we could start the conversation. Our common appreciation of the culture of hip-hop, regardless of how different our backgrounds were, we shared a common culture and a common love of the art. From Zulu Nation to Public Enemy, we shared a common culture and some of the politics, the politricks that come with that. Cape Town. It was definitely difficult to break down those barriers, but once again, music allowed me a synergy, a moment in which I could listen critically to what was being said and not just ask questions and demand. I could also give through my talents and my music, a platform for global citizenship. Now, I've talked about a couple of individual examples from my experiences building global citizenship with hip-hop. But if we want to look at a larger scale of change in terms of hip-hop, we can look at the Arab Spring. As we know, there are tons of changes going on right now, from Egypt to Libya to Syria, all across the Middle East and North Africa. And in Tunisia, there was a vegetable vendor by the name of Mohammed Bouazizi. He set himself on fire in an act of protest of the inequalities, the humiliation that he experienced, and in many ways, this drove many of the uprisings and the revolutions we are seeing today and right now. El General was a rapper who also spoke out close to the same time that Mohammed Bouazizi set himself on fire in this act of protest against the powers of the time in Tunisia. He spoke out with two songs, the first of which exploded in terms of popularity, and people were latching onto the song even though it was censored quickly by the television stations and the powers that be. Then he released a second song. And upon the release of that second song, the popularity also spread, and it was almost too late, but the authorities decided, no, we can't let it go this time. We have to take him and arrest him. They took him from his home in Tunisia. He disappeared for 3 days. At this point, protesters were already disappearing, their lives taken. People didn't know what could have happened to him. But knowing the power of his music that was inspiring people who were marching and protesting and bringing up and pushing boundaries of freedom of speech in Tunisia, people protested for his freedom, and he was eventually released. He had the opportunity to return home. But that message, that song, was much bigger than any singular person. And after he released that song, there were a number of other artists from Egypt to Libya to Syria to Palestine, United States, United Kingdom, all over the world who were caught fire by this revolutionary protest hip-hop and the songs that are giving people hope and inspiring change and creating platforms for us. One of my favorite hip-hop authors, Jeff Chang, said, "Culture is the dress rehearsal for political change." Culture is often the dress rehearsal for political change. And in terms of the Arab Spring, in terms of global citizenship, we see that hip-hop is setting the scene for what we would like to see. And it has a large power in that, especially globally, where we may have had a golden age, so to speak, here in the United States, but the golden age happening globally in terms of different countries and neighborhoods and cities and streets, and has just begun or has been going on, and we need to listen up. It's that time. As global hip-hop citizens, we challenge apathy with awareness, ignorance with intelligence, oppression with expression. We carry one passport, and that's a passport to imagination. Our currency is creativity. Our identification is with each other. We don't write verses, we write universes. Yeah, I see your reality on our doorstep. Yeah, and I believe in the change I see and haven't seen yet. Oh, 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 They try to divide us by color, but it won't work. Yeah, they try to take us from each other, but it won't work. Do-da-do. We intertwined and divine, and our calling is true. Yeah, oh. We can't have shades without colors, and I love your hue. Yeah. Let me run, let me hide, let me seek, let me find my way home from here. And I know if I try, I can heal with third eye. Freedom don't come from fear. Can't let go. Can't go home. Can't move on. Without my community, I will find peace of mind. In the alchemy of history. And I know that when I come back, I will always find my way. Hey, And though it seems that we on separate paths, I can see your colors shining through. It's true, baby, I feel you, yeah. And you know exactly what to do. Baby, it's true. I see you, I feel you. May journey far, come back to who you are. Still rivers run deep, mountains to climb and changes steep. Never give up your path, as life may come to pass. Compassion is key to see how common reality. I see your reality on our door.